Hello everybody, welcome to Talk About Houses. I'm Todd.
I'm Oana.
Okay, so we have the sales data for March, and we found something interesting in here.
Lots of interesting things.
Lots of interesting things. We thought we'd do a video on this. So we're gonna, now, usually it takes a while when the month ends to gather all the data. It's not instantly available because, remember, it takes like 3 weeks after closing for stuff just to show up on the assessor website, like ownership change and stuff. So it takes a while to find all this data. So that's why we don't get it like on the 1st of August. Now, MLS data we can pull to the day and see kind of what's going on, but this slide looks back and everything. So what we did is, first thing we have here is the total number of sales that happened in March of 2022, okay? 4,359, that was for the whole county, okay? That is normal. That's like a pretty normal market.
Right.
Because we have, you know, 40 to 50,000 home sales a year in Las Vegas, right? It's a 400,000 home market, roughly. So to have 40 to 50,000 a year is basically 10 to 12% of the market turning over, which is what we know that happens, right? It's 8 to 12% is like pretty normal. We have a little more turnover here because we have more people moving here. We have a lot of people coming here, so we have new construction. Let's talk about that. New build was 421. That's less than 10% of the total number, right? Resale was 3,879, by far the most sales for resale. There were 4 short sales, which is 0, right? Short sales are, what's it? Tell them what a short sale is.
So a short sale is when you owe more for the house than what the house is worth. And then you have to make arrangements, or your agent has to make arrangements with your lender as to how to deal with that. Sometimes that amount is forgiven. Sometimes there's some sort of a note back that you'll pay back some or all of the shortage to lender, whatever that looks like. This
is a huge leading indicator to potential foreclosures when people start having to do short sales.
Right.
And there are 4. This is less than 1 in 1,000 of the, not homes, of the sold homes. Okay, this is 1/100,000th of the market. That's how small this is. It's effectively nothing.
Right.
Right.
And you know, my guess is that that's that shortage of between what's owed and what the home sold for is probably not necessarily worth, not necessarily having to do with the intrinsic value of the house, but possibly with maybe several years of back payments that were missed or something like that. I tend to think that it's more complicated than just the value of the house versus what is owed on it.
Trustee's deed and REO sale, some of these we talked about. We just did a video on the trustee deeds and numbers. Those are actual foreclosures. It's extremely low. It's literally, it's a very low number. That's for a whole month. It's less than 1 a day. REO sales, 29. Those are bank-owned homes. Okay.
So, you know, the foreclosures and the REO sales are kind of the same number. They're not the same houses, but they're kind of the same number. So that's consistent with the banks not holding on to the properties, but going ahead and bringing them right back to market to sell them to an end user.
Okay, here's what's really, really interesting. This is the total number of the homes that sold in March and whether they were cash or financed. 1,001 were cash.
Right. 2,700
were financed. So over 25% cash. So while people are saying the market's overbought, it's too high, it's too hot, you have all these, you have cash coming in to buy these houses. And
so what cash means, remember, what cash means is that these people who are paying cash for the house, they're going to provide support for the market, right? Because they're not going to be a short sale. They're not going to be a foreclosure because they own the property outright. So when we see cash sales, that's a good thing for supporting the market. We can debate as who these cash buyers are, whether they are individuals or institutions. That's another video, but cash purchases are actually healthy for the market because they provide that support.
Finance were 2,761. You would not have seen this number in 2005 before the crash. It would have been financed like 9 to 1. Like it would have been predominantly like 90% financed, and there were terrible loans.
Right. So, because what was happening at the time is people were over leveraging, right? That's not happening now. Everybody getting a loan has to put in a good bit of money, at least 10%. So that makes a big difference. And that's part of the reason why we're also seeing all these cash buyers too, because there is cash out there, whether you've got the cash to put 10, 20, 30% down on a loan, cash to meet the difference between appraised value and purchase price, or cash to just purchase the property outright.
Of the type of, now here's the amazing thing, of the type of loan, 1,754, they were predominantly conventional loans. These are loans where they're putting usually at least 20% down.
Right.
A lot of these loans, because we did a video on this, they're putting way more. They're just, the conventional loan is just to cover what they don't have the cash for. So we've seen them where they put 2/3 of the value down and they just get a loan for, you know, 150 grand for the rest.
Yeah, that's not unusual. So, you know, somebody purchasing a property for, let's say, $500,000, they'll get a $200,000 loan, and the rest they've paid in cash. Which again, the more equity people have in the property, the more support there is for those property values, and the less likely it is that that property is going to be a distress sale.
FHA and VA are now, as you know, FHA's 3.5% down. At least, but you could do more. You could do an FHA loan with 10% down for whatever you maybe don't qualify for conventional, but you do an FHA loan. VA is 0%, but you could put more down if you want.
Right.
But that's a very small number. So basically, about 10% of all the homes were bought on a VA loan, where there was less than 10%, about 8%, where it's in theory like 100% loan to value.
Right.
Right. And then 86 were other. So these numbers are interesting because, like Oana said, all the cash and then all these conventional, I mean, you have basically almost 2,800 of the home sales every month are just basically, so they're not going to get foreclosed. There's zero chance. If you put 20% down on the house and home prices decline 20%, which would be a crash if they decline 20%, why would you sell the house? I mean, you've paid off your loan a little bit. You still have some equity in there. Like, you wouldn't just say, I lost all that money, I'll just sell it and realize the loss. You wouldn't do that. You just say, no, I'm going to wait because home prices are going to go back up.
Right.
Because they did before.
And remember, you know, people have to live somewhere. So long as there are not other factors that would cause somebody to sell the house, people are going to stay in the house because they need to live someplace anyway. No,
I cannot tell you what home prices will be next year. I can't tell you what they'll be like in 2 years or 5 years. We've done the analysis. We've looked at the data. We've grabbed all the resources to tell you demographically and statistically what's most likely to happen without putting numbers of just saying, hey, this is likely, right? But I would say this, in 20 years, home prices are going to be more.
Yes.
They will not, I don't believe home prices will be less than they are right now.
Right. Absolutely. You know? I agree with that.
So if you're buying a house, you're going to live in it for 20 years, or you're going to buy a house, live in it, and then move, but keep it as a rental or whatever. I think it's a better bet that it'll go up in value. And then here's the other great thing: you buy the house, it appreciates in value, you sell it, and you get, because it's your primary residence. If it was your primary residence, we did a video on that. You get to keep the money, you get to keep the profit. Right. Which is huge. Right. It's a big deal.
And you know, if you buy a house and you're in it for 20 years. Certainly, that's 20 years of rent that you didn't have to pay, and that's 20 years of payments that you put into your own house and into your own pocket, essentially, because whatever you've paid down on your loan and whatever appreciation there's been on the property, you get to keep that money as opposed to your landlord.
Yeah. Anyway, so every month we track the Las Vegas real estate market. We also do national reports where we talk about nationally. If you search through our channel, you can find other videos we've done where we talk about a multitude of aspects, literally anything that can happen in real estate, predominantly with residential real estate. We don't really talk about commercial real estate that much, but we talk about residential because we're experts in it. So you can feel free to look through all the stuff, everything on our channel, watch all the videos. But the best way to keep up to date is subscribe, hit the notification bell, and leave us a comment, interact with us, because we do actually go through and read the comments and interact with everybody. And let us know what information you're interested in finding out. Absolutely. And then if you come across interesting information, please put that in the comments, particularly if you can put a link to some data source or some data site. We're always interested in getting more information and getting more data and sharing that with everybody. So we'd appreciate your contribution to everybody's knowledge. Please remember to share the video with others, like the video, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye. Bye.